Indirect objects. Let's start with something you know. SVTIODO. You know that from Essentials, right? And we would have a subject. I gave Mark a coin. So subject, verb transitive, indirect object, direct object. I didn't give Mark, I gave a coin. That's the direct object that directly gets the action from the verb. This one receives something too, but it receives it from the direct object. So it really is this. I gave a coin to Mark. That's my indirect object. And you can diagram it like this. Subject, verb transitive, indirect object, direct object. And that's how a lot of times in Essentials you would diagram the sentence. There's also Mr. Henley's way to diagram, which I'm going to show you here. And it would go with this one. Subject, verb transitive, direct object, and then you go down a little bit in the indirect object because you've got this little preposition here, to Mark. I gave a coin to Mark. This Mark is receiving something from the direct object. Let's go over here. The first example that Mr. Henley says is Christ gave God glory. And that's, of course, SVTIODO. Here's the second way you can do it. Christ gave glory, because that is the direct object. It's what he gave to God, the indirect object. God is receiving glory right here. The first way you can diagram it, subject, verb transitive, indirect object, direct object. The second way you can, you may diagram this is subject, verb transitive, direct object, and then you go down here to God. God is receiving glory here. The direct object is giving something to the indirect object. So the direct object gives something to the indirect object, or it says something to them, or it entrusts something to the indirect object, or it could tell something to the indirect object. This is your main word here, this to. The indirect object is in the dative case, nominative, subject, genitive, possessive, dative, indirect object, accusative, direct object, ablative, object of the preposition. But the IO is in the dative case. The dative case is sometimes called the to or for case because it's always going to mean to or for this indirect object. The direct object is giving something to or for the indirect object. And so whenever you are translating these, either from Latin to English or English to Latin, get your cards out and put them in a diagram, and then you'll get them right. Let's do some examples of that.